Right guys, got the fridge out now so you can have a good look at the headboard and the electrical circuit, the way I've got it set up. We'll turn around now and show you. Okay, so I've got switch here for hardcore lighting, fridge thermostat, projector, inverter, remote control turn on, into a switchboard with ciggies and also USB connectors. Everything, all my lights are isolated. So this is for, the first one's for me canopy light, the hardcore light on my canopy. You can see now the lights come on, lights off. Number two goes to me awning. I've got a light for the awning and that just wires in on the awning, just a light strip. Number three goes up into the rooftop tent where I've got a ciggy up there, ciggy connector that's got the fan connected and also another hardcore light, and the fourth one goes off to the other side canopy door, and then I've got a couple of spares. 3 Anderson plugs, one for the fridge, one for the Road Chef oven, and then I've got a spare. Projected DC charger. It's just a AGM gel wet or calcium battery charger that will get replaced at some point with a lithium one. Fuse block. They're all, everything's individually fused. Another set of fuses from the DC charger. So this is where I've got my problem. We'll come back to that in a second. Into some circuit breakers. 40 amp circuit breaker, 250 amp breaker. 2 120 amp AGM batteries. A projector inverter, 1800 watt. Down to a shunt bar, Victorin shunt bar. Isolation switch. And another hardcore light switch for the driver's side canopy door with a fire extinguisher. In general, really happy with it. Does everything I want. It's got everything I need. Probably over the top, but it's a nice fit out. So I've got an issue with me voltage back from the alternator. At the Anderson plug coming into the canopy from the alternator, I've got about 13.5, 13.6 volts. On the other side of the Anderson plug coming into the canopy, I've got the same 13.6. At the fuse link with the blue heat shrink on it, I've only got 12.2 volts, which is reflected back here on the display of 12.1. So I'm losing a volt somewhere in the back of the headboard, and it's going to be one of the electrical connections, one of the solder connections has come loose, I think. So what we'll do is I'll set up the multimeter and we'll just show you, and then basically I'll have to remove everything off the headboard here. I'll take the headboard off and then come back to the electrical wires up here behind the headboard and then repair that. Whilst I'm doing that, I think it's going to be the opportunity for me to remove the projector battery charger and then try to fit it up over in here somewhere, or I just do a new headboard and redo it all whilst I've got it out. I'll decide. We'll see how that's going to work out for me. Okay, just to show you, got my multimeter lead, shoved him out. I'm lucky I've got these extra, just put it there, some real fine fittings. I'll just take one off. Your normal multi-plug connector, and then I've got that real fine pin one. So I've got it put in now. We'll find a nice earth or ground, and you probably can't see it, but I got 13.8 volts coming in. Coming in now, I've got 12.1. So I'm losing 1.5 volts, or just over 1.5 volts between coming in here. So I've got it on, I got blue heat shrink on the inlet there. That goes into my charger, and then the charger comes down to the blue wire here. So that's where I'm losing 1.5 volts. So we'll disconnect the batteries, we'll isolate it, disconnect the batteries, undo everything I need to undo, and then get to those couple of wires. It's going to be 2 soldered fittings in the back of the headboard there. So we'll get to that and see what's going on. Right guys, got the headboard fully disconnected from the electricals. I'll just run you through that now. It's going to take the whole headboard out the back and put it on the table and just go through the wiring bit by bit, and then I'll decide if I'm actually just going to do a whole new headboard. Okay, so as you can tell, I've got the headboard off. The blue wire, which is the Anderson plug in, come down this connection here. Not sure if the camera shows it, but we are missing a bit of solder on those fittings, on that fitting. So just heating up the solder now, the soldering iron, and we'll correct that up, and hopefully that's where we're losing some of our voltage. So I've just soldered it. Now it's connected all the way around and fully soldered. Not sure how well it shows up on the GoPro there. Hopefully that's where the voltage was being lost. So we'll connect it back up, quickly have a check of it, and then decide if I'm going to redo the whole headboard. Okay, so that's fully done now. I've insulated it with the heat shrink as well. Put a few layers of heat shrink on there just to keep it nice and tight, and also color coded it with the other end as well. So just in case anybody needs to work it on in the future, it's easily color coded, and they can understand, you know, if they're working on it from the front or the back, you've got some sort of knowledge. Morning guys, how are we? Little update. Headboard. Still haven't refitted it. Decided I was going to do a new headboard. So it's just a little bit longer in height. And I'm going to reposition everything like I discussed the other day. So basically I'm just going to take things off one at a time, fit it to where I want it. I'll take photos of all the wiring. I'll probably also mark the wiring to make life a bit easier. Move the stuff to exactly where I want it, and then do a new install. So carpeted the plywood, marine ply last night. Wasn't going to film that for you, it's pretty easy. Grab a sheet of marine ply, some new carpet, bit of glue, and then I put some weights on it last night just to apply pressure to make sure it seals. So in regards to today, as I said, basically just going to disconnect each piece one at a time, and then I'll reposition stuff as well to where I now think I need it. So the passenger side will probably seem a little bit cramped, whereas over here on the driver's side will seem a bit cramped. So I'm going to have the inverter up in this top corner. I moved the charger the other day, which you would have already seen. I'll probably move the fuse box just across a couple of centimeters. I can end up in this line here. So I've got 2 centimeters to play with there to free up that. The DC charger, I'm going to move down here. And the switch I'll move across a bit. And the ends and plugs I'm hoping to get in here somewhere, with the battery also coming across. So that's the plan. We'll give it a go. It's going to take a bit of time. I'm not an auto electrician, so don't think for a minute I am. I'll take some photos of the back of the board, and also the front, so I can tell where all the wires are going. As I said, I'll probably mark them as well. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm just at the planning out stage still. This does take a while. I've got notes on where all the wires are going. Plus I've also done a quick little schematic. And that's just for these components. I haven't even looked at the fuse block or the isolation switches yet. So at this point, this is the way I think I'm going to lay it out. So the inverter, there'll be enough room to get power plugs into the side here. The battery charger will sit there, and the lead will run across the top and down to the passenger side. And then it's just about getting me spacing right here with me Anderson plugs, me circuit breakers, fuse link, isolation switch, and then just got to work out exactly where this shunt will go. There's enough room here for the batteries, and I'm just trying to also work out the size of my hole, because last time I did this big hole thinking there's lots of cables, I ended up with probably half of it in use. So it does take time. I have to do a fair bit of planning. Okay, so what I've done here, I've got my gaps worked out where I want everything, but I've just put a straight edge, measured it up from the bottom of the panel, and that way all my switches and fittings on that area will all be in perfect alignment. I'll grab some clamps as well, and we'll just clamp it so there's no movement. Clamp it on the end. And so day 2 of the headboard rebuild. Haven't got quite as far as I was hoping to due to the bad weather. It's been raining all day, so I've been doing a bit of it inside the garage. A little bit too dark to film, but this is where we're at the moment. I'll just show you. Just brought it out. So still running the projector, DC, the projector inverter remote control. So I've moved, as I said I was going to, move the charger, which was previously here in the middle. a third of the way across the board, which stuck out too far for the fridge. So moved that across the fuse link. At this stage I've only got the Anderson plugs wired in. Still got to do my switchboard. The inverter, still running the 1800 watt inverter. Moved the Anderson plugs, they were previously probably about here on the old headboard. So I've moved them there, which they'll be easily accessed. So the fridge will run down here, roughly, which will mean I can still get to these, whereas before I couldn't quite access them. And then I've just relocated all my switches and fuses. So my 2 circuit breakers. I've also added another wire into the fuse. Before I only had 1 wire coming in, 1 power wire, and I had an internal link. So since I've had it off, may as well do it properly. So that's now running down. Then I've got my MIDI fuse. So again, one coming from, I think it's from the charger from memory, and the other one coming from the solar input. Isolation switch into me Victron neutral shunt. I'll just turn it off for a second. I'll switch it, turn it around so you can see the back of the board. It's a lot tidier now, a lot more organized. So we'll just turn it around. Okay, so the back of the board, just fitted all these little locking points. It's just so all the wires can stay in a nice location rather than hanging freely. So if we work our way across, we've got the DC to DC and solar input there. Comes across, all my neutrals are coming across straight into the neutral bank. Then I've got my inverter, heavy gauge wire for the inverter, straight down and also into the neutral. So what I'll do is the battery will sit in the front here somewhere once I work out its proper location. But this is just to show you how you can tidy it up. Haven't tightened all the cable ties. And the reason I've done that is if I get a broken wire at some point, or for whatever reason I need to remove a wire, I can just pull it straight through from one end to the other. So take for instance here, I've got 3 cable ties holding all the wires together, which keeps them in that formation that I want, the flat formation. But still, if I need to at some point in the future for whatever reason to pull it out, I can just get on one end, join a wire to it, and then feed the cable through. Same here, all the wires are sort of tucked away tidy. You got to remember, I've only got about 10 or 15 mil from where I'm fastening it, so I've got some spaces which should keep me up from where the wire actually ends, and that way I won't be pinching any wires as well. Okay guys, it's been a couple of days just due to the weather. Haven't been able to get outside and work on this the new headboard design. Chopping and changing as well as I go, and I think I said in a couple of days ago that I'd build a box for the switchboard to go on. I'll just show you that now. Changed my mind again. So that was the box I built, carpeted, and basically I was just going to cut out the middle here and then screw the switchboard on, which is what I did the previous time. But again, with just trying to save space, that board ends up being probably another 50 mil overhang, and that restricts the door opening. So what I've come up with is I've taken the switches out and I've made a template. So I'm just sort of figuring it out now, but I'll just show you what I've come up with. So basically this is the outside of my canopy on that line. That's my hinge point for the door. Comes up 300 mil and then it goes off on its angle. This line here, I'm not sure if you can see it, this box here is actually where I've got the inverter control, and then from the floor I've got a 40mm aluminium frame, and then near the hinge bracket I've got another 40mm aluminium frame. So what I'm going to do is cut out each switch individually, and also a SIGI holder, a USB, and also my voltage gauge. I do have another SIGI holder, so I might even just come up with a 4 and 4, like 2 and 2 sort of setup. But still working on that. But that's pretty much where I'm at. Again, it's all sort of rough. It's a lot of measuring, double checking, but that's sort of roughly what I've come up with. And then before I cut the headboard itself, I thought I'd do it up on a template, double check everything, make sure it works, and then go from there. Finishing off the headboard this morning, we'll get it all mounted up and then show you what it looks like. But we'll run you through it now. I'll toss it over as well so you can see the back and how I've done the wiring. And then, yeah, leave some comments, let me know what you think. So the switchboard that I made, removed that, and now the switches are permanently mounted into the headboard. SIGI, USB, voltmeter, hardcore light switch, projector inverter, remote control, and the DC charger. This space here is where the fridge will virtually sit now. So I've removed the battery charger from here, which has saved me that sort of 75-80mm gap, which means the fridge can now almost mount flush on the wall. The fuses, I've used every fuse, and I know there's some people going, well, you could have done that differently, and I'll show you when I've turned it over what I've done. Anderson plugs, one will be for the fridge, one will be for the Road Chef oven, and one's a spare, into 40 amp breaker, 250 amp breaker, 30 milliamp fuses, isolator, Victron neutral shunt, hardcore light switch for the driver's side door, and the 1800 watt inverter. So pretty happy with it. We'll flick it over now. I'll show you the wiring and I'll show you what I was talking about with the fuses. Okay, so the back of the headboard, solar input and alternator input. All the cables I've tried to tidy up, fastened down everywhere. Also fitted these little bits of ply to give me space on the headboard where the frame is. So basically where these lines are is the frame, so that should give me space so the wiring doesn't pinch. Try to flatten the wiring out as best as possible, and that will all push down when I mount it up. Now in regards to the fuses, so there's the fuses there coming down to the switches. What you could have done, and it'll be a lot less wiring, is just use one fuse, or maybe two even, come down, ring one active, and then just link it across, like bridge it across. What that would also mean though is, if one of the switches or whatever was on that circuit, one of the lights, was to trip, you'd lose 2 or 3 components, generally lights in this case. The way I've got it, they're all individually fused, each circuit, so therefore if say the rooftop tent fan trips the circuit, I won't lose power to the other lights and that, and then I can easily work out there's something wrong in that circuit. That's the idea behind it. Some people will agree with it and say good idea, others might say a lot of work for nothing, and that's okay, each to their own. Anyway, we're going to go out the front now and put it in the back of the truck, drill some holes on the headboard and the frame of the head unit, fit some more wires. There's a couple of lights that have got to be just wired in, run the power. Okay, so all the wires in the back are done. It's now a matter of just forcing it in. Could take a bit of work. Or it just goes in like that. Nice and tight. I'll tidy these wires up. Just got to slide across a fraction to the driver's side. A little bit of a tidy up and job done. Righto, so the headboard's in, it's mounted up fully. I didn't film just putting it up on the wall, but I'll show you what we've got. The finished result. So we'll go over the other side, run through the switches. Just while we're on this side, we'll turn the inverter on. Rightio. What will be the kitchen side. So the Road Chef oven, working. Projector remote turn on and off, now off. Green light, not sure if you can see that, green light, off. Just got to get some more Velcro. Go down here, light switches. So I got 4 of them wired in, the bottom 2 are spares there. This one's for, first one's for the hardcore light on the passenger side door, which we're working on off. Second one is for the LED in the awning. Third one's for the fan and light up in the rooftop tent. Fourth one is for the driver's side canopy door. The DC charging unit is working, and at the moment we've got 12.7 volts. That's off solar. Now, so half the reason I did this, went to this effort, was I was losing some volts somewhere. Sorry about the light. I was only getting 12.2 volts at that output, or at that indicator gauge. So already I'm getting the 12.7, and then when I'm running the engine, the alternator's getting me up to I think I got 14.2 there at one point earlier on when I first tested it. So that's a win. As I said, basically all I've got to do now is I'll go and make up another frame for the fridge. So that will end up coming back to about, I'll save about 70 mil. Then the pantry will go in, and that will just open up another 70 mil of storage here, where I'll probably get a drawer made, custom made for it. But there you go. Let me know what you think, where I could have done a little bit better, or your impressions of it.